Hello again, and today's very important day. We will actually dive into the Lambda. Okay, so you all know we come to this page, and now from this page, you just click on Create Functions. Now, this is second page that will come when you click on the Create Functions. And now let's go through some of the options which is given here, and then understand. You author from the scratch. You use a blueprint, and there is a container image. I'm not talking about the container image right now because this is related to a Docker. And once we see some container examples, we'll get to know here as well. Now, Blueprint is again, you already have the configuration, you just launch your Lambda. And in the very first session, we are going to use that. You author from the scratch, which is most predominantly used. Now, when you come here in the Lambda, you see here the functions and the create functions. Now, everything who designed this Lambda, just read his mind as well. Like what he said is, he said functions. Now, it should click on your mind that it is for small functions that Lambda actually caters about. Like I said in the story about when you get a prescription of the doctor and other things, it doesn't run the full source code for you. Okay, so let's create your function. Function is like anything like 2 plus 2 gives you some addition or multiplication or many other tasks. So give a function name. So what do you want me to put the function name? Let's put the function name as uh, lambda first example. Okay. You have to give one function name, and this is the way like you can actually identify out of many when you see the list. Now, the second is the runtime. You click on the drop down and you see here. There are varieties of options, .NET, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby, and so many versions of all. Now, in this example, I'm going to do the Python as a 3.13. You can choose any based on, but I'll say go for the latest always. And now the function code where it does run the architecture, we will talk on this as well. And the permissions and additional configurations. I'm not coming to this right now, but we definitely going to dive into more and more when you understand the basics on this. Now, keeping everything default, just call a create function and wait for a moment. It takes a few seconds and then it creates the functions. Now, why it is taking some time? Because it is creating so many things underneath. And now you see in the next page, it says successfully created the function, the name that you have given, Lambda first example. You can now change its code and configurations to invoke your function with a test event. Choose test. Now let's click on cancel here. And now you see here the Lambda first example. And it already gives you a defined function, which is your Lambda handler. And it says like returning a status code of 200 and saying hello from Lambda. Those who know Python, you know this is simple code using one import JSON and just returning hello from Lambda. Hello world is quite known for all the developers. And you see here the runtime setting what it does. Like we have chosen 3.13 handler, you know, Lambda handler, which is the name here that you see Lambda handler from the Lambda function. And now you see the layers. We will talk about layers. For now, just understand. Those who know Python or any other language, they know when you compile a code or you use any Python code, source code to run, you always need a dependency. In Java compilation, they done through Maven or Gradle or Ant, the very old way of compiling. Or in Python, we always use some packages that we need, install our packages. We package them in normally requirement.txt. Now, how, because you have just code here, like you see, okay? And let's say if I write one more library that is called requests. Now, request is something that I need to put this library to this AWS function, which is Lambda first example, then only then it can be used. Otherwise, it will not be able to use this. So that's what layers are actually supposed to use. There are many ways that we can use it, and we will talk on this again in our next session. For now, you just see like you have created first Lambda function. It gives you a way like how you can invoke your functions, and you see your function definitions. Now, what you need to do is just you have your code ready and just see how you can run this code. Okay, now to run this code, and even before run this code, let's see a couple of more things. You see here multiple tabs. Let me scroll up a bit. There we go. And now you see here test, and we can always test our functions from this. Also a monitor means when a function runs, you can watch your CloudWatch logs. And there are multiple other things like profiles, and you see the memory profiles with the insights. We'll talk on those as well, but let's make it very simple. Now you see, I was talking about example like for interview, that how much data it can contain, it can run. And like you see here, we are dealing in MB, so we cannot deduplicate 100 or even 5 GB of data or 10 GB of data, right? And there's a timeout of 3 seconds, which is default configurations. And you can edit it, but you cannot edit for gigs of data here, okay? You see here, now we have really access on this, which is obvious, and the versions, like you create different versions of Lambda. Now in the test, what you need to do is you just need to call, if you just click on the test here, it will ask the details, and you can see the logs also here, and you see the status code as 200, and it is hello from the Lambda. It just run. Now, if you go to the code again, and you need to see like this is your code which is executing, you need to change something here in the code. Let's go here, hello from Lambda, and you can always write your code here in the Lambda console itself. But oh, sorry, this is an output. I mean output, not in the code actually. My bad. So you go in the code actually here. You call this is my code, and I'm learning. Okay, here we go. Why I'm changing this code? Because to show you a few tiny small things to you. Now, once you change your code, you need to call a deploy, and it is code is deployed. Wow, nice. See how beautiful it is. You deployed the code, you run the code, and everything is running right now. It's already done. So, like I always say, cloud makes your life simple. You have a function that you can run. I'll talk about what is event, what is context also. How does you get your function parameter through event, what all things you can hold in the context. And now I just changed this, so let's try this out again. You just run this code, create a new test event. Test event is good, like you create one test event and then you can run my test event or something, and save it. You have your event created. Let's invoke it. Perfect. You got your results button down below. So let me scroll. See, hello from Lambda. This is my code I'm learning. Now these events are just for you, like how you can test your code, how can you run before you actually deploy things. So that's what the purpose is. Now, this is all I want to talk about in the hello world of this Lambda functions and go back to click again on functions. Like I said, you just type my first, you see, your live voice search comes, and this is what the function is. Perfect. This is I want to talk about. Now, in the next session, I'll tell you what is trigger on the Lambda functions. Just try to understand this easy concept. In a As we move further in the end, we will take one example, design, and we will create that as a full project in Lambda. And you will see actually the beauty how these small things gives you a full understanding and how to create a design and architecture in the software. Thank you very much. Let's meet on the next session. Thank you.